Hello and welcome back to the Movie Bar Podcast. I am your host, John.
And I'm Justin. And this is the Average Movie Podcast for average movie fans by average movie fans.
And the bar is now open. Welcome to episode 68. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm here.
Once again, conspicuous by his absence, Kyle is not here this week. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But let's kick it off with some. Well, it's not exciting movie news, but what's happening in the world of movies?
This is not exciting movie news. Jeepers. It's rather dark of you.
Yeah.
But Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective actor Mark Margolis passed away, 83, earlier this week. So, he's a good actor. Everything he was in, he was good. Always played that cranky old guy.
Yeah. Hey, some people are just meant to be cranky old guys.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Oscar-winning director of The Exorcist and The French Connection, William Friedkin, passed away today, actually, the 7th of August, at 87. So our condolences to both families and friends and fans of Mark Margolis and William Friedkin. What's your favorite William Friedkin movie?
Oh, I'm going to go with The Exorcist.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, too. So, but a little bit of movie news. What do you got, Justin?
Oh, we also have Christopher Landon going to be directing Scream 7, The Happy Death Day, and Freaky filmmaker will take over duties from Radio Silence, which helmed the previous two entries.
Have you seen the last two movies? Scream?
No.
Have you seen Happy Death Day or Freaky?
No.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with this franchise. I mean, the last one was okay. They kind of had a few twists and turns on it, but hopefully this is the last one. But let's get into our picks of the week. I'll start us off. My pick this week is Trapped, which came out September 20th, 2002, was directed by Louis Manduki, and stars Kevin Bacon, Charlize Theron, Dakota Fanning, and Courtney Love. Have you ever seen Trapped?
I've never heard of it, I don't think.
So, I remember seeing this movie in AIT on Fort Jackson with a couple battle buddies, and for years could never figure out the name of this fucking movie. And finally figured it out. I just remember that it starred Kevin Bacon, and it's basically about a little girl gets kidnapped, and they're trying to get the ransom from the parents, and a real mind-twisting, like, Kevin Bacon plays the lead bad guy. Courtney Love plays his girlfriend / other bad guy, and like Courtney Love is with the husband on a business trip, seduces him, and Kevin Bacon's trapped in the house with the wife. Well, I think it's Courtney Love's brother has the daughter. Very interesting movie. Outstanding performance by Dakota Fanning. So yeah, that's my pick of the week. What's your pick, Justin?
My pick for this week is Taken. Originally released January 30th, 2009, directed by Pierre Morel, and stars Liam Neeson, Maggie Grace, Katie Cassidy, Famke Janssen. This is just a good little, kidnap action movie. Liam Neeson did great in this. Just as I was watching it, spoiler alert, one of my movies I watched this week. I mean, you could really see it, on Liam Neeson's face, and he did really good on this one. It's just enjoyable. It's just him going through and killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's a good movie. It spawned one of his famous catchphrases. And if he says, particular set of skills, I will find you. Plus, his voice like really added to that whole thing too. Like, what's his daughter in France or something?
Yeah, Paris.
Yeah,
Or...
yeah, it gets taken, and they spun it out. They spun it out to 2 sequels, and so. All right, what have we watched this week, Justin? Start us off.
I've watched Taken. I've watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Good thing. I watched Twisted Metal too. That was pretty good. Samoa Joe does pretty good for not having a speaking part.
But doesn't Sweet Tooth talk in the movie? So that's not.
Yeah, he's voiced by Will Arnett.
Oh, okay.
Which, yeah, it's Will Arnett. So that, that was it.
And that's on Peacock, I believe.
Yes, Peacock. It is on the Peacock.
That's one that's definitely on my list to watch. But so I watched the Prom Night remake with Brittany Snow. Good movie. Hubie Halloween, the Adam Sandler Netflix Halloween movie.
Seen it, yep.
Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. That's just a fucking twisted movie. You ever seen that?
No, is that the one he got duped into doing?
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 girls show up at his house and they're like, oh, we're lost. Can you help us? And he lets them in. Next thing you know, they fucking take over his life and ruin it. And
no, there's one he was a bad guy that he got roped into doing because he doesn't like being a bad guy. But.
And then I continued my Ice Cube adventures and watched Friday and Fist Fight. Have you ever seen Fist Fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the documentary American Nightmare Becoming Cody Rhodes, which was also on Peacock. It's interesting. It tells his story from when he started being Dusty's kid and moves on to, leaving and going to Independence and then coming back. And
is it a WWE story, or is it a him story, or is it kayfabe? Is it a little bit of both? Is it
WWE put it out? But,
all right, then. Okay, it's WWE Truth. Gotcha.
No, they covered everything. They had from,
Oh, they'll cover it all, but they'll put their spin on it.
There really was no spin on it, and
that's good.
They talked about a lot of stuff from behind the scenes, of AEW and how he was kind of jealous of all these people saying they were Dusty's kid, like Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, and all that, when he was really Dusty's kid, and talks about how Vince McMahon flew to his house to get him back. So, and then I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Well, actually, I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Hunter, and he wasn't impressed.
Neither are my kids, but
But maybe if I showed him Pee-wee's Playhouse, he might be a little more in tune with that, because this was a little more of a...
I mean, it's a Tim Burton movie. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, we'll discuss it.
Do love Nightmare Before Christmas, so...
we'll discuss it as the movie, because that's our topic of the week, is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And we are dedicating this episode to the memory of the star Paul Reubens, who passed away on July 30th, 2023. Yeah. So, all right, let's get on to our main topic. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a comedy film directed by Tim Burton, starring Paul Reubens as the lovable Pee-wee Herman. The movie follows the quirky and childlike character Pee-wee as he embarks on a cross-country adventure to find his beloved bicycle, which was stolen by a mysterious thief.
Quirky, but that's okay. Release date August 9th, 1985. The screenplay was by Paul Reubens, Phil Hartman, and Michael Verhall. Distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, with a box office of $40.9 million domestic.
This movie is currently not streaming on any platforms, and it is rated. See, every week I forget at least one thing to write down. Rated PG for. It doesn't say why, but it was rated PG. It falls under.
I assume for Large Marge.
Sex and nudity, violence and gore, profanity. Even though I love how they have frightening, intense sequences, and apparently Large Marge is quite frightening.
Oh yeah, I jumped over that scene for my kids.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Hunter watched it, and all he said was, "Wow, that reminds me of Crazy Nana Patty."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh Jesus!" He's like, "But don't tell her that." So she doesn't listen, so it's all fine.
All right, have her listen to this episode.
Oh yeah, yep. So the film starts out. We're at Pee Wee's house. It starts off with a dream. Pee Wee's winning the Tour de France or whatever bike race on his red bicycle.
Tour de France.
And then he is woken up by all the crazy contraptions and gadgets that he has in his house. Growing up, didn't you wish you had a house like that? It makes your eggs, fresh squeezed orange juice.
I mean, yeah, I'd rather just have the money that it probably took to build all that crap. Jeepers.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord. What did he do to have the money to have this bike and this house and
I know.
all that fun stuff?
Must have had rich parents.
Yeah, probably.
He dresses like he did, wearing that gray suit with the red bow tie and the penny loafers. So it was kind of funny watching this, because then when he sits down at the breakfast table, he has a nice bowl of Mr. T cereal. Mr. T. And it was funny because Saturday night, while watching SummerSlam, Hunter and your brother Billy were talking about Mr. T, and he goes, "Oh, remember the Mr. T cereal?" And then when I saw it yesterday, I was like, "Oh yeah, look at that." So
basically, it's Captain Crunch.
Yeah, like a lot of cereals back in the 80s and 90s were just offsets of other types.
Yeah.
So then we see his biggest love of all, his red bike. Let's talk about some of the things in his house. The egg maker, the orange juice. I love how he waters his yard with the neighbors aren't that tolerant these days.
No, they're not. But then again, these days, if you wasted that much food, good Lord.
Oh yeah.
Pancakes on the ceiling. He makes 5 pancakes every morning. Takes a bite out of one.
Makes a smiley face with the eggs and the bacon, and
doesn't eat most of it.
Half a box of cereal.
Well, you gotta eat the toy.
Yeah. So now Pee Wee is going to run his errands, which is the magic shop. And that clown always sticks out to me.
Yep. I think the clown is part of the PG thing too, because they do play him really creepy like.
Yeah. And inside the joke shop or the magic store, whatever it is, when he puts on the X-ray glasses and he looks at the girl and he's like, like, yeah, that's yeah. Okay, you got that down. And then he's got the spinning bow tie.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're gonna wear a bow tie,
yeah, it's got to be spinning. I mean, Hunter's a big fan of bow ties. I don't know where he gets. That's not me, so I don't know where he gets that from. But so after leaving the magic shop, Pee Wee heads over to the bike store and sees Dottie. Yeah, sorry, bad with names. And picks up his one-of-a-kind air horn for his bike, which is louder than most. And he kind of foreshadows the end of the movie in this scene. Do you know how he does that?
I wasn't paying attention to this part, so no.
So when he walks in and the motocross guys are in there, he says how I can't tell you. It's like top secret, like James Bond stuff, which kind of foreshadows the end of the movie.
Okay. Yeah,
I never put that together, but so after an extensive chain job to his bike, he returns to find it has been stolen. Runs back inside to the bike shop. Dottie, it's gone, and collapses. Which then in turn the police arrive, but he gets little help from them because there's nothing they really can do.
Yeah, I mean that's fairly true to life.
Yeah.
Unless you have some kind of these days some kind of GPS tracking system on it.
Yeah.
I mean nothing they're gonna do. So.
And back in the 80s, they didn't have that kind of thing for bicycles.
Nope.
So the police asked the question, is there anybody you know wanted your bike? Instantly, he thinks of Francis.
Mm-hmm.
So he sets out on the quest to recover his bike. Let's talk about Francis. Definitely a character.
Definitely someone you want to punch in the face.
Snotty rich kid, you know. Well, because earlier in the movie...
My dad says I can have anything I want. Yeah, I'll slap the crap out of that kid.
Francis Buxton, played by Mark Halton. So earlier at the beginning of the movie, Francis tries to buy Pee-wee's bike because it's his birthday, and his dad said anything can be bought. So Pee-wee goes to visit Francis at his house. Knocks on the door. Who opens the door but Professor Tenru Tanaka. Professor Tanaka, who was also in another movie we covered recently, Last Action Hero. Callback. Asked to speak to Francis. He says no, shuts the door. Pee-wee knocks again. The guy opens the door. What? What's that?
What was that? What's knocking on your end?
Oh, I knocked on the table.
Okay. Sounds like you're hitting the microphone.
No, I just knocked on the table.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So he shuts the door again, then he knocks again. Well, he doesn't knock, but a knocker knocks on the... Like, who carries all this crap with him? Pee-wee Herman. Pee-wee gets in, finds Francis in his oversized pool/tub, playing with his ships, and proceeds to attack Francis.
Yeah, I mean, if someone stole your prized possession, I'm pretty sure you do.
Well, I mean, he's making accusations, you know.
Well, I mean, when that morning he said, you know, I'm going to buy it, and then no, you're not going to buy it, and then he's like, oh, you're going to be sorry for this. I mean, that's a threat. So if it disappears within a couple hours of somebody saying you're going to, you know, that's definitely the first person I'm going to.
So I love how he just walks into the tub in his suit, and you just see his feet walking, and they proceed to fight in the pool or in the tub until Mr. Buxton, played by Ed Hurley, and Professor Tanaka show up, banging on the door, and go ahead, bust down the door, and Pee-wee tries to escape once Tanaka goes through the door and falls into the pool. And Francis claims he did not steal the bike. So, what are your thoughts at this point of
Well, I mean, no hard feelings. He gives him some gum. So, I mean, he's a nice guy, you know. He feels bad for accusing them. So he gives him the joke gum. That's always fun. I mean, that's the first person I'm going to go to. Like I said, you threaten me, I'm going to come to you first. And I mean, that guy, he plays that Francis character so good.
Yes.
I mean, you really want to slap the taste out of his mouth, but at the same time, it's like, you know someone like that. Everybody knows someone like that.
Yeah.
Someone who's just had everything handed to him, doesn't know how it frickin' actually works, and just thinks everything is theirs. But he just plays it so well. And then, he's immediately the victim like that. Flick of the switch.
Yeah.
So.
And you believe him.
Does so well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you believe him that he had nothing to do with it. And,
Daddy.
They were building his birthday train set all day. So it couldn't have been him. Well, Pee-wee leaves, and it is revealed that Francis did in fact take Pee-wee's bike, but he paid somebody to do it.
Oh, of course he did.
This guy looked like a greaser from the 50s, Just give me my money. Let's just get rid of the bike. Now, the heat's on him, so he's giving it up now. So.
Well, yeah, it's one of a kind.
Yeah. So, Pee-wee's depressed. Can't find his bike. Then he has the encounter with the street gang. And scares them off. And then he meets a fortune teller named Madame Ruby, who tells him at the Alamo. In the basement of the Alamo.
Yeah.
So Pee-wee embarks on a trip to the Alamo. It never says where Pee-wee lives, does it?
No, not really. I don't think so.
So he first meets a guy that's escaped jail, who still has the handcuffs cut on his wrist.
Well, he shouldn't have cut the goddamn tag off that mattress. All right.
Yeah.
Living on the edge, you get pinched. That's how that works.
And I love how they approach the police checkpoint, and Pee-wee's like, I have an idea. Yeah. Dresses up like a woman. Where he has this stuff is beyond me.
Hey, I mean, well, they got a stolen car, so they probably had it in the car.
They just happen to have a wig, and I mean, the clothes I understand, but the wig, but...
I mean, if it's a woman's clothes, yeah, you never know. Lots of women can wear wigs. It's
nothing wrong with that, but I agree.
It was the 80s, not the 1900s, So.
And the police stops them, shows them a picture of the escaped felon, who is now wearing a pair of glasses.
Can I go to Superman?
Yep.
Clark Kent.
And Pee-wee is acting as his wife. Oh, honey. Oh, such a creepy looking guy, The next part was a little disturbing. When the police officer asked Pee-wee to step out of the car so he could take a look at that adorable little outfit that he's wearing.
It's 80s. It's a comedy movie.
Yeah. And I'm sure shit like that happened back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it was worse than that.
So the escaped convict drops Pee-wee off because it's too much heat. And next, Pee-wee meets Large Marge, a truck driving woman who is scary to look at and scary to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And they say she did not blink the entire time she was telling her story about the crash that she witnessed.
Yeah, I believe that.
So she drops Pee-wee off at a diner, and her last words are, "Tell him Large Marge sent you." So
he does just that.
He goes in, and announces to the entire diner that Large Marge had sent him in. And the look on the face of everybody. That's when it was revealed Large Marge had died in an accident that one of the truckers had seen.
10 years ago that night!
Yeah, that very day. And Pee-wee was riding in a truck with a ghost. So he eats his meal.
I mean, at least it was helpful. Dropped him off somewhere useful.
Yeah. And he got to meet Simone.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ghost I want picking me up in the middle of nowhere.
So he realizes he's lost his wallet, has no money to pay. So, like most comedy movies or movies in the 80s and 90s, what do? You do dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have to do dishes for not paying for a meal?
No one ever went anywhere without the intention of paying. I just, had money and I paid.
Yeah. Well, he had the intention of paying, but he didn't have his wallet.
I'm a little bit more careful about where I leave my money.
Yeah. So Simone asks him to watch the sunrise with her in the dinosaur roadside attraction. And that's when we learn about her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
A big dude who sees him going up into the dinosaur with Simone and proceeds to chase him until Pee-wee all of a sudden shows up at the Alamo. So he's got to go through the tour, even though all he wants to do is know where the basement is so he can get his bike. And goes through the entire tour just to find out that there is no basement in the Alamo.
Of course there's no basement in the Alamo. I mean, come on.
You never know. There could have been.
There aren't very many basements when you get on this side of the Mississippi, unless it's for Tornado Alley. But
so Pee-wee is defeated. Calls Dottie, asks her to wire him a bus ticket, and only under the condition is if he will go to the drive-in with her, will she do it? And well, going to get his bus ticket, Simone's ex-boyfriend, he runs into Simone, who is going to Paris, France. Once again, another callback to Paris. See how everything ties together around here? He runs into her ex-boyfriend now, who then proceeds to chase him around until he puts on the disguise of
Rodeo Cowboy.
Yes, and a bandana to cover his face.
Mm-hmm.
Which then in turn he gets put onto a bowl and thrown off instantly.
No, he stayed on for a little bit.
He stayed on.
He gave it a good run.
Yeah. He fell off, hit his head, and the bull proceeded to chase Simone's ex-boyfriend because he had a red shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
Which I had to explain to Hunter that red shirts and bulls really don't mix, or red anything and bulls don't mix. So
yeah, it doesn't matter. It's any color.
Yeah. A bull sees a big thing, he's going after him. So
yeah.
So they ask Pee-wee if he remembers his name. He says no. Remembers where he lives? No. But what's the last thing you remember? The Alamo.
Oh yeah.
And they all share. And
that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's like when he's talking to Dottie on the payphone, and she goes, "You're not in Texas," and he goes, "Oh yeah, when the stars are bright at big at night." Then everybody, deep in the heart of Texas,
Stars have to be bright at night because they have no power.
The comments released in this podcast do not reflect those of the podcast, just of the
individual. It's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Yeah. Well, Pee-wee's laying in the hospital, and all of a sudden he sees that a young boy has been given the bike on set. So Pee-wee's going to Warner Brothers Studios. So now we're in Los Angeles, apparently.
Yeah.
Pee-wee is looking around, and I love when they switch the voices of the like space trooper and the Vegas showgirl.
Yeah, the space trooper there was the son from UHF.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure. Looked a lot like him. Pretty sure it was him. And I'm pretty sure that they didn't switch his voice. I'm pretty sure he just has a high-pitched voice.
Well, I looked at it as they switched the voices, because then the showgirl shows up and she's like, all right.
No, I know. Yeah,
he's over on lot 6, but...
Yeah. I think they gave her a deep voice.
So, Pee-wee goes over to the set. The young boy, played by, the brother from The Wonder Years, Jason Hervey. And he's your typical snot-nosed...
Another kid you want to punch in the face.
Yeah.
Just like Francis.
Yeah. So the scene is he's being adopted and he wants to give his bike to the nuns, but he sold the magazines to get the bike. And they want him to keep the bike. But then Pee-wee, dressed up as a nun,
yoink, bye.
takes the bike, gets chased around the Warner Brothers lot, encounters security.
Who bring golf carts.
Yep. Who have to unplug the golf carts first, which I thought was funny.
And then one of them winds up in a boat.
Yep.
With water skiers on skateboards.
He goes through a beach blanket party, which is how he gets the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Which then, in turn, goes through a Christmas scene.
Yeah. We get Santa and the reindeer.
Now we have reindeer, Santa, and a sleigh behind the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Which then cuts through a Godzilla scene. And Godzilla ends up in the sleigh with Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And then ends up on the set of a Twisted Sister music video.
Mm-hmm.
Which they are all boggled by this high-speed chase going on. Which then leads to a Tarzan-like movie. And Pee-wee is able to swing across the water on his bike. Which was amazing.
Absolutely. Totally. Totally plausible. Everything that happened in this movie is, totally plausible.
So Pee-wee escapes Warner Brothers, only to find a pet shop on fire. Mm-hmm. Hunter absolutely loved this scene in The Little Pink Dog. So Pee-wee runs in, first frees the monkey, who helps him.
Well, yeah, monkey can help.
Yeah, takes out all the dogs, takes out the chickens, the mice, the fish. And each time he goes in, he stops and looks at the snake. So apparently Paul Reubens is deathly afraid of snakes.
And a lot of people are.
I am one of them.
I know. What's that behind you?
Yeah. It's my biggest fear is walking out in the yard and finding a snake. But, so Tim Burton asked him to do the scene where he holds real snakes because they couldn't use fake ones, apparently. And Paul Reubens agrees to because he trusts Tim Burton. So he finally comes out with all the snakes and he just faints. And the firefighters show up. I love that old school fire truck. No top, it says, "Oh, this boy's a hero," and this cop's like, "This boy's under arrest." Did you notice that they crushed 3 snakes when he knelt down next to Pee-wee?
Yeah, he was about to. Yeah, I saw one of them.
Yeah, but there was a few that was right next to him that I think he kneeled on. But so they pull Pee-wee into the office of the head of Warner Brothers, I guess, and they work out a deal where, in exchange for Pee-wee's story, they'll let him go. So we're back in his hometown, and he's back with his bike, And he's at the drive-in with Dottie, and he's walking out of the snack bar with a bunch of food, and you see almost every character that he encountered on his trip. The producer, or whatever he is, the head of Warner Brothers there.
Yeah.
The
hobo.
The hobos. Oh, we didn't talk about the hobo when he's on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And the convict who's in a prison bus.
Yeah.
He tries to sneak him a chili dog with a file in it.
Uh-huh.
The hobo's got snow cones.
Yeah, and they started their own little fire.
They're all sitting on
box seats.
Yeah, box seats. Hey, box seats, Pee-wee. The motorcycle game. We didn't talk about that scene where
tequila.
When he goes into the motorcycle bar and he's making a phone call and they're all talking. And you notice anybody familiar in there?
No, I don't remember.
Cassandra Peterson, best known as Elvira, played the biker mama.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I don't recognize her because I'm not used to seeing her without the makeup.
So they say, we're going to kill you, and he's like, don't I get a last request? And this is where he plays Tequila. And he borrows the shoes from the cook, which the cook shrinks down.
Drops like a foot.
Yeah. So funny scene. Then he ends up on a motorcycle. They're like, "Good luck, Pee-wee." So they're at the movie premiere at the drive-in. Throws them a bunch of candy, and then he goes to his date, Dottie, on her bike with Pee-wee's dog and the pink-haired dog.
Yes, and this whole time they're showing the movie up on the screen.
Yes,
and you get James Brolin playing PW. Morgan Fairchild playing Dottie.
Yes.
His bike is now the X1 motorcycle.
And he's fighting off ninjas, and then we see Pee-wee's big break in the movie when he plays the bellhop. Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a phone call at the front desk.
Yeah.
So Pee-wee doesn't need to watch the end of the movie because he's lived it.
He lived it.
But our old friend Francis shows up, and with news crews and Phil Hartman, who was one of the writers. I didn't realize that he was one of the writers. I never realized that about this movie till doing the research for this.
Well, you know why he's a writer, right?
Why?
Because he was Swami.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, this came later on.
Yeah,
I mean, Pee-wee's Playhouse came later on.
Oh.
So, Pee-wee rides off into the sunset with Dottie. You see them riding across the screen at the drive-in, and with a newfound appreciation for his community and the importance of friendship. And thus ends Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
It was an adventure.
It did span a few sequels. Big Top Pee-wee in 1988. There was a Pee-wee's Big Holiday Special in 2016, which I believe was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is or not. But it also came from the Pee-wee Herman Show and Pee-wee's Playhouse, which was something I believe we grew up on with Swami and Cherry and Conky and King of Cartoons and Cowboy Curtis.
Captain Carl. That was his other character.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why. No, because he was Captain Carl in the original Pee Wee Herman show, which is why he was a writer for the movie.
So What did you think of the setting, sending Pee-wee to the Alamo, Warner Brothers? What are your thoughts on?
I mean, it was, a fun, wacky way to do a, road trip style, heist style comedy movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that they say that everybody nowadays that goes to visit the Alamo asks if there's a basement.
Yeah, and I believe the diner is still up, and they have the plaque with Large Marge on there.
Probably.
So, how did you feel about the runtime of an hour and 30 minutes?
It's a movie. It should be about 90 minutes.
Did you feel it was too slow, too long?
No, I mean, even though this is one of those where I guess, it could be kind of slow if you've seen it too much. But it's been a while since I've seen it, so.
Yeah. I felt it was perfect at 90 minutes. It flew by. Next thing you know, we're at the pet shop and he's saving the animals, and I was like, oh crap, that's almost the end of the movie.
You actually interrupted me while I was watching it to text me to record this early, so I actually paused it at that point and went outside and played with the dogs for like an hour and then went back and watched the movie.
So how about the concept of the movie?
I mean, it's kind of fun because it's kind of meta in its own way before it was, a thing. And I mean, it's, I forgot that it was a Tim Burton film. But I mean, seeing everything else Tim Burton's done since, it's like, even if you don't read the credits watching it, as you're watching it, it's quite apparent that it's a Tim Burton film. Just the way he sets the moods and the music and the way he films people and can take the not so creepy and make it, it's not like the Magic Shop. It's not over the top creepy, but there's enough sense of foreboding and dread when you're in there. And the guys laugh that it just, like, as a little kid, I can remember thinking, like, I'd never go in one of them goddamn stores.
Yeah. And especially with characters like the escaped convict and Large Marge, it gives you that little sense of terror, but not too much.
Yeah. Well, when you're an escaped convict, cut a tag off of a mattress, it's,
Justin, that's not what he did.
It's funny.
That's what he said he did.
Yes, I know, but that's funny.
But, yeah. Because that used to be a thing back in the day, remember?
That was for the the factory workers.
It doesn't matter. It still said it on the thing. Do not cut off the tag.
Yeah, I know.
I live by that code of law. That law.
I'm pretty sure it still does.
Maybe it does. So, do you think this movie would hold up today? If this was filmed right now, without anything from Paul Reubens' past, like, if this was...
They definitely wouldn't release it after he get bagged for public masturbation, but...
But do you think a movie like this could be made today?
I don't know. I don't think I don't think it would be geared towards adults if they did.
No, I don't think this movie was really geared towards.
I think
adults.
he would have made it for kids.
Yeah, and there might have not been any Large Marge or.
Yeah, it would have changed some. That's for sure.
Like, it seemed like it was geared towards kids, but with certain elements that would, like, adults would get, like the cutting off the tag of the mattress and is there a basement in the Alamo? And when he says, like, they don't teach you that kind of thing in school because that's not important. Like, so how about the acting? I think nobody else could play Pee-wee Herman.
Well, no, nobody could.
He created the character.
I mean, it's one of those things that this movie does a good job of keeping the humor going and poking fun of itself.
Yeah.
Whereas, even with such an over the top character like Pee-wee really is, because like Pee-wee, I don't think that a human could actually survive as Pee-wee Herman. I don't think they make it through childhood.
No.
But I mean, everybody did. They did a good job. It was. It kept you entertained. It keeps you in there. It wasn't, there wasn't, any obvious, anybody phoning it in or anything like that.
Yeah. I think if Pee-wee grew up when we grew up as a kid, dressing like that would probably be along the lines of an ass whooping. I'm sure he would have been bullied, but it's to have that childlike mentality as an adult. It's something we all need, So, what do you rate Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
I'll give it a 3.75.
Okay, I went 3.5 stars. It scored a 87 on Rotten Tomatoes, a 3.5 on Letterboxd, and a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm pretty sure with his recent passing, this movie has been revisited a lot.
Yeah, probably. That's why it's not available for streaming yet.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay for it.
Especially with Warner Brothers' 100th anniversary, they're reissuing all their classics, I guess. I wouldn't be surprised if this comes out. I don't even know if it's on Blu-ray or... I don't think it is. I know it's on DVD, but... have you seen any of the sequels? Big Top Pee-wee or...
Yeah. I watched Big Top Pee-wee. It had Benicio del Toro in it.
Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas.
I have watched that new one that he put on Netflix a couple years ago with what's that guy's name? Anyway, that one wasn't very good.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen it. I know
Joe Manganiello. That's it. Joe Manganiello. That's the guy.
Oh, so that's a newer one then.
Yeah.
Older than
that was after I moved here. So that's within the last probably 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see if it's still on Netflix. I believe Pee-wee's Playhouse is on Amazon, unless I bought it. But all right. So I believe that concludes Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
It does. What do we have coming next week?
Next week we will be covering 2014's Digging Up the Marrow, starring Ray Wise and Adam Green. It is a mockumentary about a guy that finds the Marrow, which is where monsters live, and tries to get a film director to buy the story. It's pretty interesting. Adam Green directed it, starred in it. It is based off the art of Alex Pardee. So it's a good movie. You've never seen it before, correct?
Nope.
I think you'll like it. A few jump scares. The monsters are amazing that they created. And the bar is now closed. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode every Friday. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at The Movie Bar Podcast, Twitter /X, whatever it's called nowadays, and Instagram at The Movie Bar Pod, TikTok at The Movie Bar Pod, where you can find clips from the show and different things we post. And be sure to visit our website, moviebarpod.com.
Plus, if you have any movie recommendations or want to share your thoughts, hit us up at The Movie Bar Pod, at The Movie Bar, at Outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for joining us on this cinematic adventure. Remember, we're just movie fans like you sharing our love for the silver screen.
Until next time, keep watching and enjoying those movies. And we'll see you at the bar. Bye.
Bye.